Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Comet Sighted with me, Benjamin Magnus. Today we're going to be talking about Imperator Rome Development Diary number 8 from the 16th of July, 2018. And today's Dev Diary is all about trade. The trade in Imperator is about getting access to goods for your cities to make them better, and meanwhile earn money on trade happening. A trade route is import of one trade good from another province, either foreign or your own where it is in surplus, to one of your provinces. You can always import any trade good you have a surplus of from your provinces, but from foreign nations you need to have negotiated trade access first, and if you fight a war against each other, the import will be cancelled. A province can only export if that province provides a surplus, i.e. if it in total produces more than one of that trade good. A city produces one trade good, and for each additional 30 population, it produces an additional trade good. There is no limit on how many exports a province has, other than the amount of surplus goods it has. You can always import a trade good if you already have a surplus in it, and that gives you a small additional bonus. This next paragraph is formulated a little peculiarly. The syntax seems a little odd. I don't know why. This whole Dev Diary today, the syntax and the grammar seems a little wonky. But anywho, I'm going to read it verbatim, then tell you what I think it's trying to say. Only the capital city in each province gets the benefit of the stacked goods. So this is saying that if you stack 20 grain in a province, the capital city will get the benefit. The capital city of that province will get the bonus from the extra surplus. The other provinces gets counted as they have access to one of the trade good. Only the province's stacking bonus can be applied multiple times, so you can import 20 grain if you so desire to keep up a huge population. So that one, I think we're jumping the gun on, because if we scroll down here, you can see that the vegetables in this province give a supply limit bonus of 10%, and then there's the surplus bonus for the province of 2.5%. So what it's saying is that this one right here will stack multiple times, so you'll get diminishing returns. Well, you get a diminishing return on that, and then you can keep stacking that up, which is nice because it applies to the whole province. But then this one applies to just the capital of that province. That's what I'm gathering from that paragraph there. Please remember that creating a new trade route costs you civic power. That I'm not so thrilled with. I don't know why. That just rubs me the wrong way. I don't necessarily feel that creating trade routes should cost power points, but that's just a gut feeling. There's no way I have of, really giving a better assessment on that until we get our hands on the game, obviously. As default, you can import one trade good to your capital province. So your capital province will always have a default of one trade route available to it. There are multiple ways to get more allowed import routes to your provinces. Larger nations get more import routes to their capitals. There are ideas that allow more import, and there are inventions that can either increase all provinces' trade routes or the capital's trade routes. There is also economic policies for trade, where you can forego your income from trade for having more trade routes, or the opposite. Income from trade uses something we call commerce in the game, which we've already gone over in previous Dev Diaries. Each commerce level building, which I believe is called a marketplace, in a city provides 20% commerce in that city, and citizens will also provide a level of commerce. Trade income is based upon total amount of trade routes in and out of the province multiplied by commerce. Sorry, my cat's in my lap right now, and he's meowing and purring. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up. The list of trade goods includes the following: grain, salt, iron, horses, wine, wood, amber, stone, fish, spices, elephants, base metals, precious metals, steppe horses, livestock, earthenware, dyes, furs, olives, leather, woad, marble, honey, incense, hemp, vegetables, gemstones, camels, glass, silk, dates, cloth, papyrus, and wild game. Next week we'll be talking about diplomacy, or more specifically about opinions. So that's 34 potential items that can be traded. That, like saying that out loud, it seems like a lot. Looking at the list, it seems kind of slight. because, you know, a lot of these are specifically, I mean, they're going to have bonuses as well, but, well, theoretically they'll have bonuses as well. We don't know for certain, like iron and the different types of horses and elephants and stuff like that. We know those are for creating different types of military units. Ideally, they would have the surplus and the diminishing return surplus for the province, so the capital and for the province. Ideally, they would each have those as well, and I imagine that they will. I don't know why. It seems like a lot, but I feel like that is just not enough. But you all know, I know you're going to say it in the comment section, there'll be more with DLCs. And there most certainly will be more trade goods with DLCs. I hope that the trade in this game is a combination of EU4 and what I see here. I don't think that's going to be the case, but that's kind of why I hope. I really like the trade in EU4 and how it's kind of... You can affect it in different ways, but it's this kind of like macro thing. Normally I don't like macro gameplay, but in that case I do. I would like a combination of that kind of macro gameplay and this kind of micro gameplay. I think that would be ideal. We'll have to see. I don't know if trade's going to actually flow. I don't think it will, though. What I think is going to happen is basically the trade is just going to be whatever trade routes you personally set up. Which is going to be, I think it's going to be really interesting in multiplayer. Not as interesting in, I think it'll be tedious in single player games. Especially if I'm recording it. I can definitely see, especially after like a big war breaks out, having to go through and be like, okay, I've got to redo all these trade routes. I got to spend all this civic points. It does mean that if you're low on civic points or you don't have a big civic income, you might not want to engage in war, which might disrupt your trade. I can definitely imagine, I can see this happening right now in multiplayer games. It being, I've said this before and I'll say it again, multiplayer I think is going to where this game shines. Because imagine you have stocked, like what they said in here, plus 20 grain in your capital or something like that, so that you can support a huge population there. I would imagine that would that grain be cut off, the population would wither on the vine and start to decay. And just imagine, like, you importing a lot of grain from a foreign country, one of your enemies not being able to directly declare war on you, declares war on your trade partner, or proxy wars your trade partner, disrupts your trade routes, and your country starts withering on the vine because of that. Or if you have access to elephants, you have a big elephant army, or iron, so you have the heavy infantry or something like that, and someone disrupts your trade. I think that is going to be an amazing drive for conflict in multiplayer games. In single player games, I think it's going to be more like, I want that, and I want that, and I want that, so I'm going to declare war on these people. And I think it's going to be a drive in single player games, but not necessarily a terribly interesting one. But I think in multiplayer games, the trade system is going to make this game shine, which is great. I'm a big fan of Paradox multiplayer games. I host them every single weekend with my community. What I am liking so far is that it seems pretty dynamic. So each city is going to provide a good and have a trade, and each province is going to have a trade route. And for every 30 pop in a city, you'll get extra goods. So you can drive a pop-up in a city so it can produce more goods, so you can export it to, widely across your nation. You can export it for profit to other nations. You can stack it in your capital for bonuses, like vegetables. This is interesting. Supply limit. I can imagine it being a very viable scenario if you are prepping for a war on the periphery of an empire, to have to reroute food to a border province in the hinterlands so that you can stock enough, supply limit modifiers in there so that you can march an army up there without it starving to death. That seems very interesting to me. And the fact that there is diminishing returns on stacked strategic goods, that's something that Stellaris has been sorely needing since it came out, and has not been implemented in the game yet. And it's just something that's been that's always really annoyed me about that game, and I'm glad that it's in this game. And Stellaris, if you get a trade good, you get a bonus. If you get 10 of that trade good, you get nothing other than 9 extra goods you can trade away for something else. So after you get that one, there's not really a dry... The rest of them in the galaxy just don't matter. But if you have diminishing returns on them, you can stack them up. You can get that one, and then you can stack them up for a continually larger bonus, which I like. I really like that. I was really hoping that was going to be in the game, and I'm very happy that it is. A couple other little things to point out in terms of trade and what it'll mean for the game at large. Larger nations can import more routes to their capital. That definitely seems like an EU4 thing. As your relation gets larger, you go to a kingdom, you upgrade to a kingdom level, then to an empire level, and you get bigger bonuses for your country, depending on the size of your country. So that seems like something that's borrowed from there. We obviously have access to ideas like in EU4, which I always like the ideas in EU4. It really changes up every game you play. Even there's what? I don't even know. There's 3 by 8. So there's what, like 24 of them, I think? Somewhere around there. Say around 20. I actually never counted. Say there's around 20 idea groups in EU4. It varies up the game depending on how you want to play, which is really nice. Inventions have been mentioned in passing like this several times now. I have no idea how those are going to be impacting the game. What I can assume is that you'll have some level of technology points like in CK2, and then you can use those to get inventions, which will give you strategic bonuses to your nation. And we have policies just like in EU4 as well. Policies are great as well. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't think it's that weak of a limb, and assume that you're going to be paying one of your points, your military points, or your civic points, or your oratory points, or your god ducats to be to keep your policy up. And that last bit of that line, I think, seems pretty interesting as well. You could forego your income for more trade routes. So you can say, I would like more routes, but profit less for them, or I would like fewer routes and profit more from them. So you could have really focused, powerful trade routes to really bring in the ducats, or you can kind of spread it out so you can get those trade resources either stacked better or spread out more evenly as a bonus to your realm. So taking one last look at our picture here, we have the province of Syria selected. Having access to vegetables increases the supply limit in the entire province by 10%. Each additional this has got to be vegetables and seeds and stuff. Each additional surplus gives us a supply limit of 2.5%. So we have vegetables in here, plus 10%. Every additional vegetable for the whole province, 2.5%. Having a surplus in the capital gives us an additional boon of a 15% cost reduction on moving pops around. So that's pretty cool as well. And then, of course, we got a tooltip. Each 30 pop will provide an additional 1 vegetable. So you grow that city real big, we'll start making some more veggies. And it looks to me, like if this is the veggie, it looks like Chalcas sub Libano, is this city we have selected right here, is the one actually producing the veggies. And last but not least, we have a little sneak peeker here from Johan Andersson's, the producer of the game's personal Twitter here. We are looking at a province in India, which I think is very interesting. We haven't seen over... Oh, I just noticed this. Placeholder UI elements from EU4. But anywho, not much to look at other than the honey boons we get here. So, having access to honey in a province will give us freeman output of an additional 10%. Each additional surplus in the province will give an additional 5%. And the surplus in the capital gives omen duration plus 25%. That seems like a pretty big boon right there, because you got to pay power points. You got to pay god ducats for your omens. And just flat out getting 25% more out of that seems pretty nice. I like the sound of that. But anywho, that is going to be it for the day. We took a look at our pictures. We took a look at the Dev Diary. We discussed everything on there. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this. I'm getting a lot of mixed... Well, I'm a big... I shouldn't say I'm shocked. I'm a big Roman history nerd, so everything that they're telling me, I'm like, yay, yay, yay. There might be a little downside, but yay! But I think there's some more pragmatic people out there who are like, I don't like this, which is perfectly fine. Again, usually what I end up doing in the comment section is having a lively debate, then just ending with, well, we don't know for certain how it's going to play in the game until we get our hands on it. But let me know what you think, guys. I am 80%, I was going to say 90, I'm going to say 80% happy with the way I think trade looks right now. I think it might be a little micro-heavy at times, but, and I don't know how much I love spending civic points on actual trade routes. But that could actually play very well. I can't really say one way or the other if that's going to be bad or good. But anywho, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.